This is Star Citizen, the so-called next-generation experience in gaming, yet still in making. In the most recent update, they introduced this special and rather fun-looking raid mission that almost exclusively deals in the first-person shooter mode. So, you know YamiKs gonna have to sniff this too. However, with the Siege of Orison, Cloud Imperium Games managed to literally show off the absolute worst things about Star Citizen as a potential game in one fell swoop. Now, before we pick up the implements of horse carcass smacking, it would only be fair that I, before beating and bashing the dead horse's skull in with meat mincer, mention at least a few positives that I did find. So then, the premise here is that with this Cloud City you got a random event where you can go and help the city to shoot some NPCs in the face with those leg guns without interference of the ships, and loot the corpses and stashes for some cheap but decent gear. Though it is supposed to be a PvE event, well, you can do PvP still. I personally love to fuck around in Star Citizen by just simply taking a pistol with one magazine and taking on these NPCs, be it in the bunker missions or the ships, and collecting the gear enemies drop. Then, like in Extraction Royale, just get the fuck out, a la Escape from Tarkov, which in of itself is like a FPS version of Star Citizen. That aspect of taking on more than 10 to 20 NPCs and going through a larger map is a good idea. I think what they are trying to do with this event is popularize Star Citizen as one of the modern FPS games. And in theory, I think it could work with this kind of event. I truly do. And now maybe you're intrigued yourself to try out this shooter game with bolted-on spaceship gameplay and open world. But don't be fooled. If I'm right about the purpose of this event, then the result certainly is the exact opposite. This one event reveals to anyone with one functioning eye and half a kidney for a brain what Star Citizen actually is in the current state. A compilation of barely working mechanics and features that create the world's most expensive gaming equivalent of a paperweight. And then, of course, from the crowd, the phrases like, YamiKs, you're just mean, the poor alpha, give it a chance, it has potential. Well, yeah, of course, sure it does. Just like paperweight that is being thrown, it sure has potential. But does that make it any more or less of what it is? I don't think so. If, say, you were new to Star Citizen, you go in looking for said gameplay, the first hurdle you immediately have to overcome, without even doing anything, is the performance. It's been a bugbear for Star Citizen for a long time, but not only Star Citizen has low frame rates, but more importantly for FPS games, and that kind of a gameplay is the inconsistent frame times. That means it occasionally hitches, stutters, and overall lacks predictability of the most basic ability, that is being able to look, see, and move about in a predictable way. You see, the FPS gameplay exacerbates already existing problems, and boy oh boy, the Star Citizen has a lot of them as is. And let me be specific here, it's not a fucking opinion, you can measure it yourself, and the stupidest thing anyone can really say, let's say in the comments for example, is, "But you get used to it," or "It does not happen to me." Sorry, no, yes it does. Now, just because somebody has low standards as to what constitutes as good performance, just like with the British food, does not make the reality any more different. It's all shit. Then immediately after performance, the next thing you're gonna be encountering is the way you interact with the environment, namely the fucking UI. Now granted, context menu is okay when you have the time to use it, but the real problem comes with this particular event when you're ducking and hiding and trying to use it quickly to loot something on the go. You see, Star Citizen with this event particularly invites the players to loot things on the go, and frankly, as interesting as the context menu is, it's just not made for quick access in mind. That is, of course, when it actually works. But regardless, while you could still work with it, what you cannot seriously excuse is the goddamn inventory. Jesus fucking Christ, when the games from 2 decades ago could have better user interface for inventory, you know the modern era of gaming is truly fucked. And this goes out more than just for Star Citizen today, trust me. Fucking Destiny! But seriously, take Stalker or a goddamn Deus Ex from a few years back, and their miserable inventories, at least they were usable, while Star Citizen, a multi-million-dollar development team with multi-hundred developer personnel over the last, 7 to 8 years, could simply not come up with anything better than this? So, instead I think that they just simply made an inside joke to see how bad of a system they could make and force it down the players' throats. It's astonishing how counterintuitive a menu like this is. And this is what anyone, thanks to this sort of event, will be forced to touch it, like it or not. So, why make this event for FPS shooty bang bangs when the systems are just so shit in the first place? But speaking of the question I prompted you there with, why make an FPS event at all? See, AI in Star Citizen sure is artificial, but intelligence part must be sarcastic. Sure, due to Star Citizen's unique network code and server troubles, it gets really poor performance, even to systems that, well, seemingly should not be connected to it, like the frame rates. But the next level shit tier netcode is so garbage that, like a virus, it infects anything and everything. What I meant to say is physics. Yes, the very basic foundational level system that after, 8 or 7 years still jerks out like a spastic at a rave party. The same goes with AI. Since the information by the server seems to be given to whatever controls the AI with a massive delay, the AI, even if it is coded alright, cannot react almost at all. Players are basically running around with ping switching, which eventually led me to realize that you could simply do this.
No problem.
Now, how could you have an event that deals with killing AI exclusively that is as unresponsive as a fucking brick? Though I am also not discounting the fact that AI could be horribly coded as well. Bottom line is, no one will care as to why this happens. Fact is, AI, or well, lack thereof, make NPCs into literal standing cardboard cutouts that might shoot you if you stand too long in one place. I'm not kidding about that. It's also funny that some fans take this mission so seriously, with 4-man groups with all the mall cup tactical gear and taking that stuff way too seriously, thinking that this is the pinnacle of fucking Mount Gaming. I shit you not. Welcome to Space Sim genre, where expectations are low and attention spans long. Still, the old question of why was this made in the first place comes up again. CIG, the developer, knows, and I at least hope that they know, that physics are completely fucked and been fucked since day one. The performance is horrific and the inventory system is a fucking joke. So why make an FPS-focused promotional event where all of these worst parts of Star Citizen are front and center? Why do this? Literally release another Jump Down or some other spaceship event and it'll do great for promotion. But this is a pathetic joke. I seriously cannot imagine that someone at the company is so delusional that think that this was a great idea. I hope that fart sniffing and Kool-Aid drinking is not going on there. So, why? I mean, I love FPS games a lot, and call me an, I guess, optimist here, but I almost want to defend Star Citizen from questionable decisions of the developer. But fuck me, a piece of shit is a piece of shit! As a matter of fact, if you want to test Star Citizen's FPS gameplay, well, we already got Star Marine. Despite horrible performance in the past, today it seems to be better part of the project and the most game-like out of all the aspects. And whammo, more appropriate and more consistent frame rate. It almost was gameplay. Fun gameplay. I almost was enjoying my time shooting the 3 other people in the small server, in the small map. So at the very least, Star Citizen is capable of below mediocre FPS gameplay already when it's not being choked at both ends by the networking and performance, which makes that Siege of Orison all the more baffling as a release right now when the shit just does not work. Oh, and don't think that Star Marine is good. Oh gods, no. The basic mechanics of movement make me feel like I'm trying to direct a dump truck into wearing a lingerie, while the gunplay is all over the place, like a chihuahua after you feed it a live grenade. But hell, if you wanted to promote and, let's say, embellish the fuck out of the performance or gameplay, which, well, let's be frank, Star Citizen does constantly, why not go with Star Marine? Well, ultimately, the result is the same. Idea is good, gameplay on the paper promising and even interesting, but is completely let down to the point that it reveals the exact absolute horrors that is Star Citizen to anyone with a working brain in mere seconds when executed upon. Star Citizen, despite trying to be a modern shooter, lacks the actual understanding of what makes a modern tactical military shooter work in the first place, and now attempting to what? Compete with them? It's like seeing a short bus congregation arrive at the Olympics. Yes, even when you compare it to super cumbersome nerd tactical shooters, Star Citizen instead just pushes out a facsimile, and in process of doing so tears the curtain down, revealing the backstage is full of rotting server hamster carcasses that are being fed to the hungry elves as payment for their labor. Welcome to crowdfunded gaming, folks! Stay a while!